Imagine you're standing in the tiny Norwegian valley on a winter night. Snow under your boots, mountains on both sides. And then, above the ridge, a yellow-white light appears in the dark. You'd think this is where the UFO story starts. But in 1984, researchers came here with cameras and sensors. They brought radar and a laser. The place is called Hessdalen, a quiet valley in central Norway. It's about 12 kilometers long, roughly the length of a short drive across a small town. Back then, only about 150 people lived there. Then, in December 1981, people started reporting lights. Not once, not twice, again and again. At the peak, some reports said the lights could show up as often as 4 times in a single day. Sometimes they were white, sometimes yellow. Sometimes they blinked in patterns no one could easily explain. Sometimes they seemed to hang over the mountains or move across the valley. Now, here's the thing. Small places create rumors fast. Everyone knows everyone. One odd light becomes a story at the grocery store. But Hessdalen didn't fade after a weekend. It kept happening. For years. So the question changed. It wasn't, did someone see something? It was, what keeps coming back to this valley? In January 1984, a field team arrived to find out. The campaign ran from January 21st to February 26th. More than a month of cold nights, waiting, watching, and trying to turn a local mystery into data. Picture a handful of people staring into darkness night after night. They hoped the valley would do the same thing twice, clearly enough to catch it properly. The project was led by Strangest. Over that period, the team collected 188 reports of different lights. Out of those, they marked 53 as the actual Hessdalen phenomenon. That matters, because they weren't just accepting every story, they were sorting them. Some lights could be planes, some could be cars, some could be stars, reflections, or people simply getting fooled by distance in the dark. That's normal, that's what scientists are supposed to check. But then the instruments started adding their own problems. The team used an Atlas 2000 radar with a range of up to 33 kilometers. That's about the distance from one side of a major city to the other. They recorded 36 radar tracks. Only 3 seemed to match lights that people could actually see. Wait, that means the radar sometimes picked up something when the human eye saw nothing. Then came the laser test. On February 12, 1984, 3 researchers watched a blinking light. Strand, Kurt Persson, and May-Britt Pelving pointed a laser toward it. According to the project report, in 8 out of 9 tries, the light seemed to change its blinking pattern. Now, let's be very clear. That doesn't prove the light was responding. It doesn't prove intelligence. It doesn't prove aliens. It proves something much more frustrating. The observation was odd enough that the team wrote it down. And then, 8 days later, the mystery moved from the sky to the snow. On February 20th, Leif Havik, Olga Moe, and Edvin Kvarnes reported a red light appearing on the ground near them. Not on a mountain, not far away, near their feet. The closest house was around 500 meters away, about 5 football fields, and hidden behind a hill. So what do you do with that? You can dismiss one witness, maybe 2. But cameras, radar, lasers, named observers, dates, distances, that gets harder to wave away. Here's the twist. The best explanation isn't everyone was wrong. That's too easy. Yes, some Hessdalen lights probably were ordinary things. Aircraft, car headlights, stars, reflections, weird angles in a dark valley. But Hessdalen doesn't shrink all the way down, because some records don't fit cleanly into one box. The team had radar tracks that didn't always match what people saw. One radar estimate even suggested a speed of about 8,500 meters per second. That number is too fast to treat as a simple flying object without being very careful. It may be a measurement problem, it may be a reflection, it may be something in the air, but it's still there in the report. So scientists have looked for natural explanations. One idea is that the valley itself could act like a kind of natural electrical machine. Dust in the air, water, rocks underground, local weather. Tiny charged particles build up under the right conditions. Then the air starts to glow. Think of it like static electricity on a massive landscape scale. You rub a balloon on your sweater and it sticks to the wall. Now replace the sweater with a valley, replace the balloon with dust and air, and replace the wall with the night sky. That's not a final answer, but it's a much better story than aliens did it. Because the real mystery isn't whether Hessdalen is magical, it's whether Earth can make lights we still don't fully understand. In August 1998, researchers installed an automatic measurement station in Hessdalen. They called it the Blue Box. Cameras, instruments, and a quiet valley kept being watched, even after the world mostly stopped paying attention. And the lights didn't completely vanish. According to the project, they're still reported, just less often, around 20 sightings a year. So maybe Hessdalen isn't a UFO story at all. Maybe it's a reminder that Earth is still stranger than our explanations. We can map continents, track storms from space, and measure tiny signals in the atmosphere. But sometimes, in one cold valley in Norway, the planet still flickers back, and we don't fully know why.